Hello, and welcome back to my journey from normal to Norway. Finally. And I'm very excited to say that I have been to Norway and back. Um, wow. First of all, I'll say I cannot believe it's been so long since I posted and that I didn't film or post at all while I was on my trip. I definitely thought beforehand that I would be like posting videos every day of updates of what I've been doing and I'm going to do. And I thought I would be much more active here when I was on my trip. But I think that, well, first of all, I realized like on the first day of traveling to the trip that I don't have the capabilities or whatever to do like live filming or streaming or whatever on this channel. So there's that. But also, I think I didn't realize just how overwhelming it would be beforehand. So I don't know. Yeah, it just kind of happened. It just kind of flew by. And so now it's Wednesday night here in LA, just after 9 p.m. that I'm filming this. So I got home, around 24 hours ago. So just got home last night, and took a sick day from work today because I got back last night after a really long day of traveling because of, the time difference and all of that, and just so exhausted and um yeah, so needed a day to recover. Um but anyway, yeah, I don't really know. I feel like oftentimes when I'm filming these videos, I kind of like have an idea of general things I want to say, or I think I know how it's going to go. And with this one, I really don't know. So I just pressed record and we'll see what comes out of my mouth. Also, no idea how long this will be. We'll find out. Um, but let's see. Well, yeah, also I'll say I'm wearing my sweater that I got for myself when I was in Norway. So it's officially a Norwegian sweater. Very excited to have this. I got very few souvenirs for myself. I got this sweater. I got a small 2020 calendar. I got a magnet, which I kind of collect those from different places that I go. And then I got the four Scum books, which I was very excited about and felt super touristy and cliche purchasing, but I wanted them and I got them, so yay. But yeah, I honestly, other than uh, transportation and food, I really didn't spend much money on things. And I guess that's one impression that I'll say about the trip. I mean, I know that it's an expensive place, but honestly, from living in LA, it was not all that shocking. And so there's definitely ways to visit Oslo on the cheaper end of things. I mean, the things that I did mostly, there were a couple of museums, but honestly, it was mostly free, just, visiting different parks and things like that. So, and then also, I didn't really like eat at like, you know, nicer sit down restaurants. Um, I'm not a big drinker, and so I didn't, spend much on that. Had one margarita on my birthday. But I can see how that cost could really add up. But, that wasn't a big part of the trip for me. So, yeah, I feel pretty good about, I guess the cost of things. And it wasn't, that part was not overwhelming to me in the end. And I think I was a little, not that I didn't think I had the money to do it, but I was a little nervous about like, oh wow, I'm gonna be somewhere really expensive. And honestly, like I was able to do it in a pretty inexpensive way. So there's that. Um, Also, um, yeah, I guess I'll just say, I don't know, I feel weird saying this, but I shouldn't. Um, I'm really proud of myself that I did it. I know that I talked before I went about it being a big deal, um, but it really, really was. And I'm really proud of myself that I did it. I did it for me, pursued a dream that I wanted to, um, and, took a risk and, just, yeah, it was me showing up for myself, I guess, and doing something for myself, and um, taking the chance that um, reality wouldn't live up to my dreams. And that's a really big deal in my life. I feel like, or not, I feel like I know that um, something that dictates a lot of how I've operated in my life is as long as you don't pursue the dream, it hasn't not come true, and so the dream is still alive. And that's held me back from doing a lot of things. And so I'm just really excited and proud that I followed through on this dream and that I did it. Um, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. Took a ton of pictures and some videos, and I don't know, they're probably all useless or whatnot, but I have them. Um, and I know there were like friends and family wanting me to take pictures and stuff, so they'll be happy with that. Um, but yeah, okay, let me try to think about this. Let me what all do I want to say about it? Um, I'll be honest and say, so I was not nervous before the trip, which I talked about. Um, Getting there was fine and everything. Got in on, I left here Thursday evening and got there Friday night. Um, and, figured out taking the train into the city from the airport, and, figured out walking from the central station to my Airbnb. And, once I got there, I kind of, unpacked and settled in, and, called my mom to let her know that I was there safe, and all of that. And I was pretty exhausted. And so I stayed in that night, went to sleep, and I woke up that first Saturday morning, and it kind of hit me. I felt really in over my head, and just overwhelmed, and just all of those nerves that I didn't feel before kind of came at me all at once. And yeah, I just had this like feeling of like, what am I doing? I don't know anything here. I don't, like something like even public transportation being really, um, for some reason, overwhelming is the only word I can think of, and I know I've already used it several times in this video. But I have not lived in places where I needed to figure that out or get comfortable with it. I've always, living in San Antonio, living in LA, like it's very car heavy, so it's always driving. I've driven for over half my life at this point. I'm in traffic every day for at least an hour and a half. Um, and so, yeah, needing to figure out public transportation and just getting around, um, what was a lot. That first morning when I woke up, and just felt a little bit out of my depth, a little bit paralyzed. Not super, but I guess a little bit paralyzed by fear. I kind of, um, was nervous about leaving my Airbnb and stepping out into the city that I had never been to and didn't know anything about, and didn't really know anybody there. And um, yeah, I just really felt like, ooh, wow, I'm alone here, Um, and so that first day, I didn't even try public transportation. I just walked. But I mean, I was in a great location where things were close by. And so I, walked down, um, the main street, and kind of saw some touristy things, and um, saw some locations from Scum from the TV show, and um, yeah, my feet very quickly were like, "What are you doing to us?" Because I don't walk very much in life. Again, driving all the time, and so walking around, and there's hills and whatnot around there, and stairs and things, and yeah, I was getting tired. I was feeling it pretty quickly. But kind of did that, and also was nervous at first about interacting with people. Just not, although I've been learning the language for a couple of years, but not really knowing, not being able to hold conversations. And I don't know, I had this kind of nervousness and this fear that was kind of holding me back a little bit that first day from trying public transportation, from, you know, going into stores and restaurants and things where I would need to talk with people. And so, it kind of took me a bit to um, get over that. And so, but then I very quickly found out that, like I knew, but I mean, I didn't know firsthand, everybody there speaks English. And so I actually, a little ashamed to say, didn't really use my language skills very much while I was there, because everybody spoke English. And some of them even um, just started out that way at some of the restaurants. Like the menus were in English, and they would ask, "What do you want?" in English. Some of them, honestly, I think I walked in and went, and then they started speaking in English to me because they could probably tell that I needed it. But anyway, so that first Saturday was a little strange, a little weird. I definitely felt the aloneness, and the loneliness. And then Sunday, I kind of had made this decision ahead of time. I was like, okay, you get into town Friday night, and what you're going to do is on Sunday, you're going to go to church, because that's going to be a place where, it's most churches have like a meet and greet time, so it's like built in to meet somebody or meet people, and so that'll be a way to meet people in a not awkward way. So Sunday morning, I got up and I walked to church, which, okay, it was supposed to be a 25-minute walk. It's not that much, but again, being so out of shape and out of practice and just not walking much in my life, I like had to stop and sit down a lot on that walk to church on that Sunday morning. And I remember after that Saturday and after that Sunday morning, and I told my mom and one of my friends this in a text message, that it was like this trip was going to be a tour of me sitting on all the benches in Oslo, just all of them. Eventually, I would be sitting on them. So anyway, but I went to church, and we got to the meeting, and I went and I like sat in the very back corner. Um, and during the meet and greet time, there was an empty seat next to me, and then there was this couple, and it was just the four of our seats in that one row, and um, they were, of like my parents' generation, I would say. And the husband of the couple was the one sitting closer to me, and he came over and shook my hand and introduced himself. And we talked, and he was just asking me about, where I'm from and what I was doing there, and, wanted to make sure that I was planning to see certain things, and it was just really nice. And we kind of talked the whole time of the meet and greet. And then when church was over, he came back over to me and brought his wife with him. And so the two of them were chatting with me. And then we went out into the lobby, and they introduced me to their daughter-in-law. And then she and I were talking, and they were just really, really nice people. And honestly, this family is like one of the highlights, one of the biggest impressions I have, one of my main memories, I guess, of this trip. That couple ended up after church driving me up to the Holmenkollen ski jump, which was just so generous of them. It was so, so nice. Took me up there, and showed me a great overlook, and I got some pictures, and then they drove me, right up to the entrance of the Holmenkollen ski jump, which if there's any place that you're going to go to, any tourist attraction in Oslo that you would want to be driven to, it's that one. Um, because later, when I was walking down to the train to get back to the city, it was all downhill. And I just kept watching these people walk past me uphill. And I was thinking, man, if I had to walk up all of this hill, I would be in a pretty terrible mood. So anyway, they were just so sweet, so generous. And the wife of the couple gave me her phone number. She was like, just in case you have any questions or need anything during this trip. Um, and so I went, and Holmenkollen was awesome. I mean, the views were incredible up there. I again took bunches of pictures and videos, and it was pretty beautiful and amazing up there. And also them doing that, it forced me into um, my first experience of the public transportation. Like I had to. And so, it was really like they had told me it's going to be all downhill, just walk in this direction and there you go. And so I walked down, and yeah, it was really easy. It was like one side was to here and the other side was to city center. So I was going to city center, got that. And there was a little machine there to buy a ticket. Easy, did that. And rode the train back to the city. And so that Sunday really, not that Saturday was bad, it was just so overwhelming and different. But Sunday kind of turned things around for me in that, it got me to interact with people, and it got me to try the public transportation and to kind of step out, to get past some of that nervousness, to just, walk right into the face of it and get through it. And so then after that, I think things got easier. Also, I'll go ahead and take the opportunity to say that the Visit Oslo website is amazing. I mean, amazing. Like, it just makes visiting the city so easy. It kind of spells out everything for you. Anything you're interested in, you can kind of navigate on there to figure out, okay, what are my options? What can I do? What should I do? And also, it gave some advice on the public transportation, and they have this, free app that you can download, and you just put in, here's my location, here's where I want to go, and it gives you your options, and, walk, here for this many minutes, and go to this station, this stop, and then take this bus, and it'll take you there, and you'll arrive at this time. It was very easy. And so I got used to that, and got used to using that tool, I guess, the rest of the trip. And yeah, I guess, and then so the rest of the trip, I mean, I really, I did things at a slow pace, which was nice because it was a vacation, it was a vacation from work and from real life. And so, I feel like I was not going at a normal tourist pace. Like I was sleeping in the mornings and really kind of being lazy, and then going out and, exploring a couple or a few things each day. And kind of just meandering around slowly. And, yeah, I was kind of going at my own pace, and that was nice. And, so I really did take the full 10 days to explore just the one city. But I covered a lot of it, and I got to do all the things that I wanted to do. Which, traveling alone, being there alone, I definitely felt alone at times, and that was a little sad, and I felt the loneliness at times. I won't lie about that. But there are benefits to it as well. I mean, I got to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it, and for however long I wanted to do it. And so that was really nice. And yeah, I enjoyed being there, and just being somewhere new and different. And, being there for my birthday. And it was actually really great because a friend of mine had gone to grad school several years ago internationally, and had met a friend there over the course of that year who was from Norway, and she was living in Oslo. And so that friend kind of connected us over email before my trip. And then I let her know when I was going to be there. And then it was actually on the morning of my birthday that this friend of a friend emailed me and said, hey, I'm actually leaving the country tomorrow morning. Do you have time today to meet? And so on my birthday, I got to, kind of spend the day. I went and I was riding a boat, out on the fjord around the islands close by Oslo, which was really awesome to be out on the water. I enjoyed that. And then had dinner at the Texas barbecue place in Oslo. And then got to go meet her, and that's when I had the margarita. We met up for a drink, and I got to talk to somebody who is from Norway, and yeah, it was just really nice of her to be willing to meet up with somebody that she didn't know, and I really enjoyed getting to do that. And it was nice to have that human interaction also on my birthday. And then and a lot of it was really good weather, especially according to the people there, because, I guess they don't get all that much sun. And so when they do, they love it. And honestly, for me, there were a couple of days that were like, oh, a little too hot. But they were enjoying it, and they really take advantage of it. Like when the sun comes out, you'll walk to any of the parks and see people just like lounging out there. And so one of the days I kind of walked around some of the parks and definitely saw that culture, that part of Oslo. Whereas I was like the one, non-Norwegian in the area, like looking for a bench under the shade. Everyone else is like loving the sun. And I was like, okay, where can I sit under a tree? But anyway, I have kind of one bigger thing that I want to talk about, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I want to cover before that. No, I guess I'll go into it. So the other big thing that happened while I was there that was intentional for me choosing this timing, and that I loved, loved, loved was Friday the 17th of May, which is their big national holiday. And it was such a great day. It was so amazing. I loved, it was like all of Oslo was out in the city, was outside, was out in the streets. And they have their national, wear or a costume or dress or whatever called the bunad, and there are different variations of it, colors and decorations and styles that reflect the different regions of the country. So their bunad will reflect where they're from, and so oh gosh, they're just gorgeous. They're so beautiful, so intricately designed, and I definitely want one, but I believe they're pretty expensive. So if I ever do live in Norway for an extended period of time, I don't know, I might have to do it. Might have to get myself one. Anyway, but like the big part about that day for me is coming back to that one awesome family that I met at church the first Sunday. One other thing that they did, that couple, after they drove me up to the Holmenkollen ski jump, and the wife gave me her phone number, they invited me to their house for breakfast on the 17th, which again was just so kind and so generous of them. This holiday is really, it's about the kids a lot, and it's about family a lot. And so a big part of that is getting together for breakfast in the morning at somebody's house before heading downtown for the big parade. And so they invited me into their home. So I got to meet their son and daughter, and son-in-law and daughter-in-law. And then each of those couples had, two young kids. And so they just really welcomed me into their home, and it was so lovely and amazing. I got to have breakfast with them. They included me in their pictures. And then I went with the younger ones that are, around my age, and their kids. I rode the train with them downtown, so I wasn't alone. And I think that's definitely a day that if I had been, out in that mass of people watching that parade, and if I'd been alone doing that, I would have felt the loneliness for sure. And so if there was any day of my trip for me to be around people, that was the one. And they just were so inviting and welcoming to me, and I'm just so grateful. And so I got to watch the parade with them, and um, see the royal family waving from the balcony in the palace, and um, see the different kids and bands from the schools walking in the parade, and um, see people out in their bunads, and it was just really great. And then after the parade, one of those two couples that were around my age, like they were hosting some of their friends at their house. And so I went with the other couple over to their house, and they had other friends from the church and all of their young kids. And again, everybody was so nice and so welcoming to me, and, meeting, reaching out to meet me and knowing that I was from the US, speaking in English to me. And it was just, again, really nice to be around people, and they again provided me with food, and it was kind of fun to just see all the little kids were running around, and enjoying being together. And so I ended up really getting to spend all day of that holiday with this family, and they were just such wonderful people, and so they really stand out to me from this trip, from my time in Oslo. And I'm just really grateful that I got to meet them, and yeah, that they just so welcomed me, invited me in. It was amazing. I'm really appreciative of that. I'm grateful for that. And so I loved that day. I loved the holiday. I'm so, so glad that I went during this time and got to be there for that day. Um, and yeah, so that's kind of, I guess, the gist of the trip. Um, I will say, I think like I'm gonna need to think and reflect a lot on this trip. One of the things that was a possibility that I thought might happen was that I would, get there and kind of have a clear, definite, you know, immediate feeling of, I must live here. I'm meant to be here. This is where I need to be, and let me figure out right now how to move here. And I didn't get that feeling. Um, so I don't really know what that means for Oslo in my future. So I need to think and I need to reflect. But I definitely, like, I loved it. I enjoyed being there. I could see myself living there, although it, would be, different in some parts of the lifestyle for sure. Um, but I really enjoyed the place. I really enjoyed the people. The weather is definitely much more to my liking. um, it doesn't get too much warmer than it did for those couple of days that it was pretty warm while I was there, and that's nice because it gets quite a bit hotter here in LA, and I know come summer I'm gonna be miserable again. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I definitely do want to go back. I would want to go back to Oslo, and I would also want to see a lot more of Norway, and a lot more of Europe as well. And I want to go to, I'm, part British and Scots Irish, and so I want to go visit those places as well. So, I definitely have an interest to go back and to go other places and see more. But as far as, would a move there be in my future? I don't know. I mean, I'll still say it's a possibility, for sure. And one of the things I did there, on my last day actually, was I went and I walked around the University of Oslo, because that's one of the things I've kind of looked into in my daydreaming of the place in the past, was looking up master's programs that they have there. And they have a bunch of, 2-year programs that are, taught in English. And so I don't know. That's still a possibility. Maybe I'll look into that avenue. But yeah, I would definitely, I would need to find a job and things like that. And that could be fairly difficult, especially not being fluent. But I want to continue with the language skills. I have actually less than 100, words and phrases left in the app that I've been doing for almost 2.5 years. So I want to finish that out. I want to see that to the end. But then even past that, I want to continue to learn and to practice and to get better. And so we'll see. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else to say for now. I need, like I said before, I need to reflect. I need to think a lot and, kind of maybe some answer will come to me of, what's next. And how Norway fits into my future, how big of a role it plays in my future, because that's still to be determined. I thought it might be answered on this trip, it might not be, and it seems that the answer is still forthcoming. But still, I am just very, very happy that I went, that I did it. No regrets. Very proud of myself, I'll say again. Um, and yeah, I mean, just because I've been there doesn't mean this journey is over by any means, because this journey has always been about more than literal Norway. It's life. It's, coming to life and choosing to live and not just existing. And yeah, so the journey goes on. And if you've made it to the end of this, I see we're over half an hour again, so sorry about that. If you made it to the end of this, congratulations and thank you. And as always, I will be back with you soon. And until then, ha det.